Hey, Masters, what is up? Today we are here with Kyle Draper, coming to us all the way from Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas. That's right.
What's up, my friend? How are you?
What's up, man? I'm doing great. How are you?
Fantastic, dude. I heard you on Marky's podcast. I've been
Yeah,
taking a lot of her guests lately, actually. She does a good
that's
job with
funny.
her podcast. So,
Yeah,
and you killed it, man. You were talking about social media, but it was more like organic social media,
right.
right? And
Yeah.
storytelling.
Storytelling, we got into video, just
Mm-hmm.
as you know, it's so powerful, yet most of us are still too insecure to do it. And so I try to get people outside of themselves to start telling their stories.
Yeah. So why do you say they're too insecure to do it? Why is that?
Well, I think it's all of us, right? Most of us don't like looking at ourselves, right? We don't think we're God's gift to beauty. We don't enjoy hearing ourselves talk. And so when we put ourselves on video, every insecurity we've ever experienced is exposed at the same time.
Mm.
And I told, I don't even know if you know this, like I spent almost 10 years as a pastor working with teenagers. And so I've had a front row seat to the insecurities that we all possess.
Yeah.
And then I've also watched tons of men and women with incredible dreams squander all of it because they couldn't get over themselves, and so this has just become a huge passion of mine to help people get over that hump to,
Yeah.
telling their story and then using that to grow their business.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. And I definitely want to get right back to that. You share that you were a pastor. So I'll give a little bit of your bio and then you can fill in some of the gaps. How does that
Sure.
sound?
Yeah.
All right. So you have you blend a decade of as a student pastor with your experience in the social media and real estate space to create a one-of-a-kind experience. You said you're not super tech savvy, but you pride yourself on keeping it simple.
Yep.
Even helping the most tech challenged realtor experience the light bulb moment. Okay, so that's okay. I get it, right?
Yeah.
Let me see what else. I'm terrible with bios, by the way. Everybody knows this. Everybody that listens to my podcast, some of the guys I've had on. I've had Harv Eker, Harv
Yeah.
Eker guy.
Yeah.
All those, but yeah, I had him on. I just destroyed the poor guy's bio. He was sitting there
Oh
like,
my
what is this
gosh.
guy doing? But anyway, it was awesome. So you're passionate about empowering realtors to discover the leverage and personal stories and experiences to attract people like them.
Yep.
And you've helped realtors make millions of dollars in buyers and sellers without spending a dime,
Come on.
or even having to mention real estate. I love that. I mean, yeah, I don't want to spend any money, man. I want to make millions. So thanks
That's
for
right.
joining us, brother.
Yeah. Here we are.
Yeah, man. So let's talk. All this good stuff, man. I want to get back to what you said though about the video thing. So somebody, I don't necessarily have that problem, but I've been doing video and speaking for a
Yeah.
lot of years. So at some point I became comfortable. Right now
Right.
I am.
Right.
How does somebody get to that place? Like what would you say to somebody? Maybe they aren't, as you said, they're not doing what they need to do because they can't get beyond themselves.
Yeah.
So what are you saying to these people that are listening now that aren't
So
doing video?
this sounds super cliche, but the first thing I try to get people to do is just do it. Do a video and watch your people show up and celebrate the heck out of you. Right? I mean, you're going to get comments about, oh, you're so pretty. I love that shirt. Your hair looks great. Right? I mean, and you're going to go, wow, why do all these people care? Like we've totally underestimated the influence we have over our sphere of people. And so 99% of the time, the moment they do a video, they're blown away at the response that they get in a positive way.
Okay.
And so to me, that's where it starts is
I've got to just get a positive response. So let's say, I know the first time I presented, I was talking about this morning, I presented to a crowd. I was terrible. I left with my wife almost crying saying, I will never, ever do that again. And then
okay.
2 weeks later they called. I couldn't even believe they called me back.
Yeah.
Right?
So
But what if it's not a great video? Then what?
well, but you just answered your own question, right? You thought you were terrible, but they still liked it.
Yeah.
And so I was actually telling this story today. When I used to pastor, I preached mainly on Wednesday nights to our student ministry, and there were nights that I just knew that I'd crushed it. Like I crushed it. It was incredible. And I would get home and I would go, honey, how good was tonight? And she'd go, it wasn't your best. And I'm going, what are you talking about? And then on nights that I would be mortified and I just thought that I was the worst ever, I'd get home and my wife would go, honey, more people came up to me after the service and told me how impactful tonight was than ever before. And so I've learned that oftentimes it is in my weakness that creates a lot of strength for somebody else. When I think I'm struggling, it is that struggle that resonates with somebody else. And oftentimes when I think I'm crushing it, it may go over their heads. It may not resonate, or it may just not make sense for my audience. And so I'm a huge encourager with people of saying, your opinion of yourself doesn't matter. Like it really doesn't. Because if you think you're ugly, but your wife thinks you're good looking, that's all that matters. That's all that right? Like that's all that matters.
Yeah.
And so again, it comes back to like, I've got to help people get away from themselves. We are our own worst critic.
So let's talk about what you said about, so you come home one night and you're like, oh, I friggin' killed it. Right.
Yeah.
And your wife's like, well, it was, and then the next time you're like, oh, it was terrible. And she's like, dude, you did pretty well.
Yeah.
So what is it what we were talking about before we started recording? Like the just showing up and being yourself and having fun, or what do you think creates that? Why is that?
Well, this is just me, right? Like, I think this question goes directly back to a spiritual answer. And so obviously you're going to have listeners that have all different opinions about, spiritual things. But I believe that, the Bible talks about how I am greatest in my weakness, because that's when God shows up the most.
Okay.
And so I look back over all these times where I thought I sucked. I left room for God to show up and do his thing. And that's how I look at it, right? As a very spiritual person. Other people may look at that differently, but it just makes sense for me when, like, if I show up, like you and I are both speaking at NAR this weekend. If I show up with the mindset of, I am God's gift to this place. They are so lucky to have me here. I'm going to crush it. I'll probably be terrible. But when I show up filled with humility and I show up not even feeling worthy of that stage, and I give it my all, it's going to be incredible. And I think, that's an easy concept for me to understand, having grown up in the church, but it's a more foreign concept for people that maybe don't believe like I believe, and they do put that pressure on themselves. And so, the more humble I become, I feel like the greater I get at everything I do, including video.
Yeah.
And so.
No, and I agree with you. I think the humility is a huge part of it. So I'm glad you said that. And I also think that, we have to, in order to do things like this, we have to prepare, right? There has to be some preparation. You have to know, maybe it's a different context. We're talking about now speaking at an event with maybe 800,000 people watching. So it's probably a different context.
It's not though. I don't think it is. I think it's the same. Technically, the same preparation goes into it. At least it should, in theory.
But you were saying to people, let's get some videos out there. Let's just get some videos out there and try this out. But yet they're not going to put us in front of an audience like that to just try things out, right? We've done this a few times.
So think about it like this. Like, you've got MJ behind you, right? So let's look at this from a basketball reference. Imagine if somebody says, David, I need you to teach me how to play basketball. Usually, at least this is how I would coach it. The first thing I would do is I would throw them a basketball and I would say, let me see what you got. Like shoot it, right? Show me how you dribble. And I'm going to let them give me an assessment of where they are.
Yeah.
Right? Because I don't want to cheapen what they are and go, this is how you dribble, when like they go dunk it. I go, oh, okay. What you're asking me to teach you is not like what I was thinking it was, right? You're obviously better at certain things than I thought you would be. And it's the same with video. So the reason I'm so adamant about, for the very first time, let's just get you out there. I can watch that video back and very quickly understand where they can be better to improve the next time.
Sure, absolutely.
Right?
Because I'm a big fan, Kyle, of just getting out there, knowing what you're talking about, just having fun. Though, like you said, to me, it's humble, it's authentic. When I first started doing this, I would be so in my own head about everything. Like if I even made a mistake, I'd start stuttering and trying to fix my mistake in front of people, and just all these little things that would just get me so far off. And then at some point, I just realized, I'm just trying here to have fun. I'm going to be even, and I'm not I can't be perfect, right? And I think video, the same thing with video, especially with video, because it's not like you can. It's similar to a presentation. I mean, you can go back and edit your video. You can't edit a live presentation, but it is the same, right? It's you. This is the real you.
But so I'll never forget. This was probably 15 years ago. My dad used to preach at our church every once in a while for our pastor. And so he was preaching in front of 4,000 people. So this was a big church, right? This is a big thing. And you know this, as a speaker's worst nightmare, he forgot what he was supposed to say. And he's frozen on this stage in front of thousands of people. And in that moment, you can do one of two things. You can try to fix it and try to scramble and you make it worse, or you can embrace it and call it what it is. And I'll never forget my dad in that moment. He looked at the crowd and said, hey, y'all try to do this. This is hard. And 4,000 people, you'd have thought we were in a comedy club. 4,000 people erupt in laughter. It got my dad back on track, and no one remembered that he messed up.
Sure.
They all remembered how like cool Randy Draper was, because they would have been in those shoes too. Yeah. And so I think when we're doing video, when we're speaking in public, most of those people are so scared out of their minds that they would never do what we're doing anyway. So the fact that you're even doing a video, like your audience is already applauding you. Because they're not doing it themselves. Yeah,
that's a great point. Yeah, I love what you said too. When in the beginning, if I forgot what I was going to say, I'd be like apologizing.
Yeah.
Now I'm making a joke out of it. Like, holy cow, I completely forgot what I was going to say, and everybody else starts laughing. Like, what? The heck? You know what I mean? And that, you're okay. You're human.
This morning, I was speaking at an MLS event in East Dallas. There's probably 115, 120 realtors there. And I cracked a joke and I lost my train of thought. And so I literally was like, you know what, guys, sometimes I try too hard to be funny and I forget what I was trying to say. And while they're laughing, I remembered what I was saying, and then boom, I jumped right back into it. And in that moment, people go, man, I like him. Like, he's like me.
Because you're authentic. You're genuine. You're
and
real.
That's what we want people to think.
Yeah. I think too many, and I think it was you that shared this. Too many of us, we try to, and let's switch gears now and get into stories.
Okay.
I think it was you, I got this from, you don't share all the things that you did so great, but you share the struggles, right? That's what people
100%.
resonate. Is that you that, I heard that. I got that from you. Yes.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that.
Yeah, man. So I talk to people about how, you can go look this up, but if we make $100,000 a year that puts us in the top 1% of money earners in the world. And so in an industry like real estate, that if we're not careful can be so pretentious, and it can be all about the accolades and all about the successes. If only 1% of people make 100 grand in a year, 99% of people probably aren't where they want to be and can't really celebrate your success. Because it's hard for me to celebrate you while I'm unhappy with me. And so what I talk to people about is, if we flip that and we talk about pain, and I ask people, what percentage of humans have experienced pain? The answer is 100%. So when I can speak from a place of pain, everyone relates to me.
Yeah.
As opposed to if I just get on social media and I'm like, guess who's speaking at NAR on Saturday? Woo woo. Like, that's not relatable to most people. But when I can tell a story of our dog passing away 4 months ago, boom, like that penetrates to the heart of people and is relatable, right? Because most of us have experienced something like that. And so I love telling stories that start from a place of pain, because that helps people stay for me.
Yeah. So this morning I did a webinar for a top team. They've got like 15 team members. Asked me if I would, do their weekly webinar. They interview some. So anyway, I took what you said and I shared with them. I shared a couple things. Here's some of my successes. I said, but frankly, I've had a lot more failures than successes. So just remember that. That's why I'm where I am, is because of all my failures. And then I tried to just move on, and they kept saying, well, tell me about some of the failures. Tell me what you learned from the failures. And it was really surprised me, as that ended up being the whole 30 minutes was just talking about, they wanted to know all the things I did wrong. They didn't care about anything for the most part that I did right. They want to know everything how I did wrong and what did I do to get beyond that.
Yeah,
it's
because
really interesting.
Well, and so because this is all like, I love psychology, because we think we're in sales, but we're in psychology. Like, that's what we do for a living, is we psychoanalyze people. And so they know you're successful, right? They know who you are, and they're already thinking they can never be David Hill. So the moment you're willing to address your weakness, the reason they're asking you for more is because they're looking for something they can relate to in your weakness, so that they can one day see them in your strength. Does that make sense?
The relatability part does. Yeah, I think talk to us about when you say see that in they can see themselves in my strength. What do you mean by that?
Well, so what I mean by that is, if all you showcase are your strengths, you've achieved things at a level higher than the average person. So most people never see themselves being able to get to that level. But when they can come into agreement with your weakness, and they can go, oh my gosh, I made that mistake. Now, because you gave them a moment to relate to you, you've now given them strength to be as successful as you are.
Yeah.
Right? Like, look at what you did earlier. You may not even known you did this. Like, before we hit record, right, I was like, dude, you've had Gary Vee on here. You've had Grant Cardone on here. Like, what the heck am I doing here? Like, what am I? Like, that's what the conversation you and I had. And then you start the podcast and you talk about how, like, you butcher people's bios all the time. Right? And in that moment, like, that helped me settle down and not live in this pressure of like, holy crap, I've got to live up to like something that one of those guys said on here. And by watching you make fun of your own mess up, right, it gives me courage to keep moving forward.
Well, I appreciate that.
And so that's the power of what I try to help people understand is it's not in spite of our failures that we can succeed. It is through them that we succeed.
Yeah. That's
because
a great
you've
point.
learned way more from failing than you've ever learned from succeeding.
Yeah, absolutely.
right?
Everybody listening to this, I'm certain.
100%.
So let's talk about, so, another thing that you do is you said you're able to help people, grow their social media
Yeah.
without spending any money, like organically. So
Yeah.
let's jump into that conversation. Like, what
Yeah.
does that look like?
So I love this conversation because, and you're a team leader, so you deal with realtors all day that are like, I need more business, I need more business, I need more business, I need more business. And if we're not careful, our default response has been, well, you just need more leads, right? More leads mean more opportunity means more business. And so I watch realtors in every city in America totally bypass the sphere that they've built their whole life to just go buy more leads. And that's what they think they need to be successful. And so what I'm watching happen with my clients is, as they begin to just get out there on Facebook Live and remind themselves that they're more than a real estate agent, right? They might be a mom or a spouse, or they might be like me, a former pastor. And so helping them realize that your business will grow on social media the less you actually talk about real estate. Because we've got to remind people that we're real people. And so I've got a client right now who, like, she's super passionate about personal development and leadership. And so she's doing all these videos about those things, which have nothing to do with real estate. And it's resulting in buyers and sellers showing up on her front doorstep, wanting to work with her because of the leadership stuff that she's teaching. And it's just, it's a wild thing that people just, it's so backwards, because we've been trained that to grow my business, I just need to talk about my business more. And I think it tends to be the opposite.
So you mentioned Facebook Live. Is that an avenue that you feel like we should start focusing more on? Or, I mean, I know that can be a tough one.
1,000,000%.
That's because that's even puts more pressure on you than just your
No
normal
doubt.
video, because it is live.
Are you doing live video?
I do it. I used to do a lot more. It's weird. I just kind of forget. It's not that I forget about it. Sometimes I'm like, I don't even know what I'm going to talk about, so I don't bother doing it. Right. I mean, I do these.
Right.
I do all kinds of other stuff. But yeah, maybe I could be more consistent. That's for sure.
Here's people laugh when I tell them this. One of the big reasons that I do live video is because I'm not a video editor. I don't know I'm not good at editing video. And when we put out pre-recorded video, there's a different level of expectation associated with it. And so if I already know I suck at editing videos, why would I set myself up to fail even more by putting out only pre-recorded videos that need to be edited? And so I go live almost 100% of the time because I don't have to edit anything. And even if I mess up, right, I apologize for it. I make it funny. I make fun of myself. And I'm the live video guy. And the beauty of it is I'm in, I'm out, it's over.
Yeah.
I don't have to find 2 hours to edit it and then pick the right time to post it. I don't have time for that, and neither does anybody else. And so live video solves that problem.
So what are some things that, so I get a couple more questions. What are some things that, like, live videos, what should realtors be talking about? I mean,
everything other than real estate.
You think is that accurate? Really? Like
100%.
You're not going to talk about like the local market, things happening in the area. I mean,
I
wouldn't
think
people, aren't people interested in that?
I am being slightly facetious, just because most realtors only talk about real estate. And so I do think there's value in a market update, in an overview of a neighborhood, in a walkthrough of a property, but not if that's all you do. And so what I try to help people understand is, like, what makes you? What makes you tick, right? Like why is that picture behind you Tiger and Michael Jordan and not Gary Keller, right? If you're all real estate all the time. Like we want people to get to know us, not our business. And so I had lunch with a lender like 10 minutes before our call. And he goes, dude, you know how I connected to you? He said, you made a post about who do I think my sleeper is for fantasy football. And I commented because I love fantasy football. That was how I connected with that guy. It wasn't through a brilliant training about social media because that's what I do for a living. It was something stupid like fantasy football. You know, so we've got to provide people opportunities to relate to us on a human level and then subtly work in what we do for a living.
Yeah.
And so, for example, for every realtor that watches this, imagine, David, if you're on your way to a closing, and if you're like every realtor, you're going to take a picture at closing, you're going to post a picture, you know, thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, for letting me blah, 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 blah. Right? Nobody cares. No one cares. But what if you got pulled over that day on your way to the closing, and so you took a picture of your rear view mirror with the cop lights in it, and you told the story? You ever had one of those days where like you're excited to make money, and then you watch all of it go down the drain in your rear view mirror? Like, that's me today on the way to my closing. You see, so I humanized myself by telling the story, but I just reminded you that I'm going to the closing. So I got it in there, but you don't feel sold to because it was a byproduct of the story, not the story.
Sure. So you're telling all of our listeners to speed to their closing so they get pulled over.
That's right.
Now they've got
that
a good
is right.
story
Absolutely.
to share on social media. What are some of the mistakes besides that I just shared? What would be some of the biggest mistakes you see real estate agents making in this area? Okay.
The biggest one, this is my biggest pet peeve, is introducing yourself.
Okay.
You see this all day. You've maybe even been guilty of it.
I always do it. Like
if you and I are best friends from college and we're going to go, you know, get together at a bar and have a drink. If I walked in and went, David, what's up, man? Kyle Draper. Didn't I just make it weird?
Yeah, of course.
Because we're homies, right? So isn't it weird that on our personal Facebook pages where our friends are, I feel the need to go, what's up, everybody? It's Kyle Draper with KyleDraper.com.
Oh, man.
You see what I'm saying?
The video this morning. I always introduce myself, man. This is good. No, I'm learning. This is good stuff, my friend.
So, you know, and this is what we're showing people is the motive behind what we're doing. So the example I use in my class is, imagine if you have a nonprofit that you love, and we're going to call it Grace Outreach. So imagine on Saturday morning, you and I are going to go to Grace. We're going to interview the director. We're going to tour the facility, right? Because we love this nonprofit and we want people to know who they are. And so imagine if I start the video like this. What's up, everybody? It's Kyle Draper with KyleDraper.com. We're out here at Grace Outreach. Who's that video about?
It's about Kyle.
That's about Kyle. But if I change it and go like this, what's up, everybody? Happy Saturday morning. Oh, my gosh. Is that an eye booger? Holy cow. Guys, I'm pumped because I'm out here at my favorite place. You see how different that feels just because I didn't introduce myself?
Yeah.
It's I'm telling you, that is the one thing that it literally, if an agent that does video already would just stop doing that, their videos would resonate X number of levels deep.
Dude, I'm right away. I'm on that. So,
you know, so that's my biggest thing. I don't have a problem if you're on your business page doing that because that's your business page, right? But on our personal pages where our friends live, they already know your freaking name.
So here's what I'm going to do. As soon as we're done recording in about 5 minutes, right now I can't do it because we're set up through this microphone and these headsets.
Yeah.
We're going to do a Facebook Live with you on this Zoom video. How's that sound?
I love it. Let's do it.
All right. And we're going to go in. I'm not going to introduce myself.
Come on.
I'm going to introduce you. I'm going to talk about the podcast and what we talked about today.
How's I love it. That's absolutely great.
Isn't that cool? All right. So kind of in closing, well, first off, how do people get in touch with you? Like if people need to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
The easiest way is you can go to my website, kyledraper.com. You can find me on social media, Coach Kyle Draper. For any realtors and lenders, go search Top of Mind Selling on Facebook and get into my private Facebook group that I coach in every day. And that's it.
All right. Awesome. So, I mean, we talked about a lot of things today. Like for people listening, I mean, if you said, you know what, just take one thing from what we talked about today and implement that, and that's going to give you all the success you need. What do you want them to take from this today?
I want people that are not doing video to stop listening to this right now and go do a video.
Okay.
And call out every insecurity that you've had as to why you haven't done it, and literally let the closing of the video be, so you're gonna see more from me on video.
I love that.
And just watch people pour out.
Should they do a Facebook Live?
Gosh. I would do it live. Again, I do this for I do it for a living. But I tell people all the time, if that's your biggest hang up is that it's live and that's what's going to keep you from doing it or not doing it, I'd rather you do it pre-recorded than to not do it at all.
Yeah. All right. No doubt. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to challenge all of you, my friends, masters, community, shut this off now. Get your phone out, press that Facebook Live button and just go live. And don't introduce yourselves. Just, you don't have to see, I almost did it by accident. Just go right into it, right? That's it. Just go right into it. Have fun with it. Be yourself, be authentic, what word am I looking for, man? Just be vulnerable, right? Just be vulnerable. Yeah, be you, whatever that is. But it's going to take some vulnerability in the beginning, especially if you've never done a video. So and people are going to love that. People are going to respect that. They're going to love that about you. Yeah, it's funny. Like 100%. I said, when I shared, and in the beginning, I shared about how I couldn't believe they called me back in 2 weeks. The reason being is probably because I was so vulnerable and people related to me. You know, they were just like, they listened to me because they felt bad for me. Who knows? But it don't matter at this point.
I'll take it however I get it.
Yeah, no doubt.
It doesn't matter.
Man, I just want to say I really appreciate you. Appreciate your time. Thanks for being on the show. What would you call this episode anyway, if you were going to name it? I'm going to have you name it, as a matter of fact.
Oh,
what would you
man.
name this? Because we're all over the place for the most part. And that's my fault, but it's still good stuff.
What would I name it? I would call it Storytelling 101. How to get out of your own way.
Okay. All right. Storytelling 101. How to get out of your own way. Love it. All right. With video.
There you go.
How about that?
I like it.
How about how to get out of your own way with video?
Boom.
Boom. All right.
Good.
My friend, listen, I'm going to stop this right now. I thank all you guys for listening. You and I are going to do this live, Facebook Live right now. All right.
Let's go.
Masters, we'll connect with you later on. Let me see how I get my mouse over here.